Alright, welcome back to the True Crime Lounge. My name is Breezy, and today we're continuing on with our five-part mini-series on the case of Madeleine McCann. Now, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help a girl out. But we are almost done with this. In my next mini-series, I'm going to be talking about is the case of Lori Vallow Daybell, America's most hated mom, next to Miss Casey Anthony, of course. Miss Casey Anthony rules under America's second most hated woman, if I'm being honest. But Lori Daybell, you fall under America's most hated mom for sure. So many things about that case, but that's for a different time. Um, now let's talk about the Gamble report, okay? The McCanns and the met with the British Home Secretary Alan Johnson in 2009 to request a review for the case, and Johnson's commission scoping a report from Jim Gamble and by CEOP by March 2010, and the Home Office had begun discussions with the AC, ACPO about setting a British inquiry. Now, delivered in May 2010, the Gamble report examined how several British agencies have become involved in the search for Madeleine, including the CEOP itself, the Leicestershire Police, the Metropolitan Police, the SOCA, the MPIA, Crime Stoppers in the Home Office, the Foreign Office, and 10 Downing Street. So, Gamble criticized the lack of coordination and somehow wanted to help, and had wanted to be seen to help, he wrote, created a sense of chaos with a sense of competition, hampering the inquiry by causing resentment among the Portuguese police. He renewed cooperation between the British and the Portuguese authorities, and all relevant information will be exchanged between the police forces, and the police performed the analysis of the telephone calls made on the night of the disappearance, and all these will be pursued, including those developed in a private detectives. Now let's talk about Operation Grudge. Now, most y'all, you've heard me y'all talking about it, but what is Operation Grudge? Well, in May 2011, under Home Secretary Theresa May, Scotland Yard launched an investigators review of Operation Grudge with a team of 29 detectives, 8 civilians, and the announcement of the review appeared, and the chief had been triggered by a News International campaign by the way of the Sun, and the issue was requested the result of threats or persuasion from a News International chief exec, Rebecca Brooks, with one of the issues raised on the Leveson inquiry. Now, on May 11, 2011, as it was serializing Kate's book, 20,000 people signed a newspaper petition that day, and on the same day, according to the testimony of the Leveson inquiry, May spoke by telephone to the investigation of Brooks and Dominic Mahan, and the next day she wrote in a commission with the Metropolitan Police, Sir Paul Stevenson, to say that Portuguese police had agreed to cooperate with the British inquiry, and within 24 hours, Cameron made an announcement about Operation Grudge to be financed by Home Office contingencies, the Home Office Contingency Fund. Now, Operation Grudge was led by Commander Simon Foy, Detective Inspector Andy Redmond of Scotland Yard's Homicide and Serious Crimes Command, and was the first senior investigating officer reporting the Detectives Fund, Superintendent Hamish Campbell. And the team consisted of 3 dispatch investigators, 5 detective sergeants, 19 detective constables, and around 6 civilian staff. And by July 2013, the review had become an investigation when Redmond retired in 2014. He was replaced by DCI Nicola Wall. And the team had tens of thousands documents translated, released in age-progressed um, image and investigated 8,000 potential sightings. And by 2015, it had taken over 1,300 statements, collected over 1,000 exhibits, and investigated 650 sex offenders and 6 persons of interest. And the inquiry was scaled back in October 2013, and the name of the officers was reduced to 4. And the Home Secretary pre-approved an additional €95,000 and the funding of April 2016 for the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Sir Bernard Hogan Howe said that the remaining line of the inquiry in another €85,000 was approved to cover up up to September 2017, and €150,000 until March 31st, 2019, taking the cost of the inquiry to about $11.75 million. And the Home said it would approve similar funding for 2019. Now, in September 2018, the Home Office announced that we have received and considering a request from the Metro Police Service to extend the funding for Operation Grunge until the end of March 2019. Up until that month, Operation Grunge cost $11.6 million. In the November 2018, an extra €150,000 is granted and continued the investigation. In the later of the series of 6 months extension, which took in Operation Grunge, estimated €11.75 million. In June 2019, the British government said that it would be a fun operation until March 2020. Now, let's talk about some theories, okay? Um, so the DCI Redmond made clear that Operation Grun was looking like to be a criminal act by a stranger, most likely by a planned abduction or burglary that Madeleine had disturbed. And there have been a fourfold increase in the local burglaries between January and May 2007, including 2 of the on the McCann's block in the 17 days before the disappearance, and during which the intruders had entered through the windows. In the interview in April 2017, just before the 10th anniversary of the disappearance, Scotland Yard's Assistant Commissioner Mark Rowley appeared to dismiss the burglar hypothesis, and while adding that it was not entirely ruled out, referring to the suspects who might have been involved in the burglar in the area. The remaining detective in the area, and he said that the police had pretty much closed off the group of people, and the remaining detectives were focused on the small number of inquiries that was believed to be insignificant. That was believed to be significant, and also that once there was, Scotland Yard was looking for a woman near 5A at the time of the disappearance. Now, Redmond said that in 2013 that no one reading the evidence and the disappearance did look like a pre-planned abduction, which undoubtedly happened involved reconnaissance. Now, several witnesses described the men hanging around the nearby apartment 5A in the days before the disappearance itself. And in May 2013, Scotland Yard wrote wanted to trace 12 manual workers who were in the Ocean Club when Madeleine disappeared, including 6 British cleaners in a white van who were offering their services to British expats. And in October 2013, Scotland Yard and Crime Watch staged a reconstruction, and during which they would release the EFIS on the men's screen nearby. In days after the Crime Watch hired Portugal's Attorney General reopened the Portuguese inquiry, citing new evidence. Now, another theory is that Madeleine, nearly 4 at the time, left the apartment by herself, perhaps to look for her parents, and was abducted or fell into one of the open construction sites nearby. And there have been many that are widely unlikely. And according to her mom, Madeleine would have to unlock the patio door, close the curtains behind her, and close the door again. Open and close the child's gate and the top of the stairs, and then have opened and closed the gate heading to the street. Now, what about the tracking the cell phone calls? Well, using cell phone using cell phone tracking techniques and with its cooperation of the 30 countries, the police traced who had used the phone near the scene of Madeleine's disappearance with the important time frame that the analysis had turned up several calls and texts near the Ocean Club. Between 30 years old former Ocean Club bus driver and the 24-year-old and his 53-year-old associates. Detectives were interviewed him on June 2014, and they were denied the construction disappearance denying any connection to the disappearance. Now, police would also find that the cell phone of the Ecluse Montero had been used in a nearby resort originally from Cape Verde, Montero, and Montero died in 2009 in a tractor accident. And the suspicion had been questioned previously in the break involving the sexual assault of children that has been cleared by DNA evidence. Now, Scotland Yard issued an appeal in March 2014 for information of a man who entered a holiday home occupied by British families in 4 incidents in the western region of Algarve between 2004 and 2006, and then in prior to Loves on those occasions who has sexually assaulted 5 girls aged 7 to 10 in their beds. The man who spoke English with a foreign accent and his speech was slowed. And he had dark hair, tan skin, interviewed those of the 3 victims with a distinctive smell. And he may have worn a long sleeve burgundy top, perhaps with the white circled on the bottom. And these were among the 12 incidents that were reported in the area between 2004 and 2010. And the PJ reportedly believed that the intruder in the four incidents in between 2004 and 2006 in Montero. Now, there were many searches and interviews there, and in June 2014, officers from Scotland Yard in the PJs, accompanied by archaeologists and sniffer dogs, about 60,000 square feet and everything, and 11 people, including 3 Britons, were interviewed in December 2014. According to the Portuguese media, Scotland Yard compiled 253 questions for the interviewees and all of that. Hmm. Now, in June 2020, German prosecutors stated that they have concrete evidence that Christian Bruckner killed McCann. However, former charges against Bruckner by the court has been delayed due to confusion over where his last address in Germany was, and thus, which German court is responsible for the trial. Now, Bruckner has previously been convicted of unrelated counts of child sexual abuse and drug trafficking, and since 2019 served a prison sentence in Germany for raping a 72-year-old man, American prisoner in Algrove region, and he was scheduled for release in September 2025, and is expected to be tried in the court by Bronx on February 16, 2024. Now, over 5 unrelated sexual offenses charges were committed against the Portuguese in 2004 and 2017. In April 2022, and Bruckner was given a suspect status by a Portuguese authority, meaning that they could extradite him to Portugal for formal questioning. Now, Bruckner, um, who was believed to have been living in a borrowed VW camper van in Algrove region at the time of Madeleine's disappearance, was ordered to be investigated regarding possible involvement in the public prosecutor of the Brunswick court. Now, the German Federal Criminal Office made a public appeal for information relating to the McCann's case. Um, and German police stated that they would receive the useful information in 2013 after the case was first featured on the show. Now, but it took years to find substantial evidence, and the prosecution said that they still need information. And the prosecutors also believed that the public information about Bruckner's phone number endowed him on the day of disappearance, in which they had a 30-minute connection. Now, a British woman who had been Bruckner's girlfriend at the time reported that on the night before the abduction, he told her that I have a job to do in Praia de Luz tomorrow, and it was horrible. It's a horrible job, and it's something that I have to do, and it will change my life, and you won't be seeing me for a while. And Bruckner's car was a Jaguar XJ R6, which was registered to a new owner the day after Madeleine's disappeared. And now Hans Christian Waters from the public prosecutor's office stated that they were starting proceedings under the presumption that Madeleine is dead, died in Bruckner's criminal record. Now, due to his criminal record. Now, on July 27th, 2020, German police began searching for an allotment in Hanover in connection with the investigation. And in October 2011, um, the the Mirror reported that that Walters has been convinced that Bruckner abducted and murdered Madeleine. From May 23rd to 25th, 2023, Portuguese, German, and British police conducted a search in the area just made over 1 mile long for possible evidence. In the area in the peninsula near the Arab Dam in the city sits about 31 miles from where McCann was last seen on May 3rd, 2007. Previously, um, don't know why it's bugging me for some reason. But anyway, the McCanns, according to the peninsula, had we're stuck with this lighting right now. I'm gonna deal with it later. But the area on the peninsula near where McCann's were last seen on May 3rd, 2007, previously a child's sock had been found in the search in 2008, and the search was upon requested from Walters in support of the German Federal Criminal Police, the BKA, which was coordinated by a deputy dispatcher of the PJ's Northern Director, and according to the cell phone geolocated, the cell phone's Bruckner was near the McCann's within 5 miles of her disappearance, and German investigators believe that it's possible that Bruckner killed McCann around the dam and threw her into the water. Now, in the early days of the inquiry, Portuguese police searched through the images seized from the pedophile investigation, and Madeleine's parents were shown a photograph of sex offenders in case they were recognized them in Praia de Luz, and several British pedophiles were in an interest. In May 2009, investigators worked for the McCanns and tried to question one, Raymond Hewlett, and he had allegedly told someone that he knew what happened to Madeleine, but he retracted his statement and he died from cancer in Germany in December of that year. Now, Scotland Yard made inquiries about two pedophiles who had been in jail in Scotland Yard for murder since 2010. Now, the men had been running a window cleaning service in the Canary Islands when Madeleine went missing. Now, a man from Northern Ireland who died in 2015, was discussed by the media in connection with the disappearance. And after being released from prison for sexual assault and four of his daughters, um, he he had been moved to the Portuguese town of Guripto, which was about 25 miles from Praia de Luz, but he was there when Madeleine went missing. And another focus on Operation Grange was Jura Hans von Eich, who was a deceased Swiss man who was implicated in 2007 murder in Switzerland, and the 5-year-old Yelena Leonard, and the Yelena disappeared July 31st, 2007, nearly 3 months after Madeleine, and was found dead in September of Toulon poisoning. Toulon? My English is very terrible, so please forgive me. But Von H. was living in Spain when Madeleine disappeared, and in June 2016, Operation Grange officers interviewed an alleged victim of the deceased broadcaster Clement Froude, who was who accused him that year of child sexual abuse. And Froude has been home in Praia de Luz and had befriended the McCanns in in 2007. Now, several weeks after the disappearance, Froude's family said that he had been to the UK when Madeleine went miss. He had been in the UK when Madeleine went missing. Now, how are the tabloids and social media doing this? Well, this is a trial by media, and you gotta think we live in a generation now where this is a lot of it is not only a trial by justice but a trial by media. So, Elias wrote that disappearance could have been a metaphor, and everything. Now, there also Kay's appearance and demeanor was widely discussed in the picture that was posted and everything. Now, there's been some libel actions going on. And in addition to their legal efforts and everything, um, the McCanns would sue. They would get 50,000 euros in the Sunday Times, according to the Sunday Times in 2013. And Robert Murray would see 600,000 euros in out of court settlements and everything. Now, in 2019, there was a Netflix documentary, and Netflix released an 8-part documentary into the series and the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. I do recommend going to watch it. I have actually watched it, so I do recommend watching it if y'all haven't. Um, Now, if you or anyone you know has information on a missing person, call your local enforcement. You can also call National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as well, or you can visit the National Missing or Unidentified Persons site for regional case assistance. But that is it for this mini series. Join me next time as we talk about the Doomsday Murders, the America's Most Hated Mom, Lori Vallow Daybell. She's also a narcissist, if you ask me.